guys, Sandy here. Welcome back to the channel. I am super excited to share with you a project that I am going to be making today. I'm going to be using the Wild Petals stencil from Brutus Monroe. I've pulled in some safari things as well, and of course some embossing ink and alabaster white embossing powder. I want to use a pattern from here and emboss on top of it and create a card. So let's see what I can do. Alright guys, so I am starting out with a piece of green on green, basically leaf paper from the paper pad. And then I'm taking my clear embossing ink and I am just pushing that clear embossing ink through my stencil. Now when you push it through the stencil, you just literally want to push it straight down. You don't want to swipe your embossing pad because it can get underneath of your stencil, and that's no fun. So I'm using alabaster white embossing powder from Brutus Monroe, and I will tell you guys, if you have not tried embossing powder from Brutus Monroe, you are truly missing out. You need to heat it up till it's nice and smooth and melty. Don't do what I just did and put your heat gun on your hand. That's a no bad thing. But you know, sometimes we do things we know we're not supposed to do, right? Like, not saying that this is something that I do on a regular basis, maybe on a semi-regular basis, but I gotta tell you guys, sometimes when you're doing things that you're not supposed to do, sometimes your best creativeness comes out, right? Like you just end up being super creative about something. So I went ahead and matted that card front on a white sheet of card paper. Oh Lord, people. Cardstock. And I will tell you that this was difficult for me. And I will say that it was difficult to mat my card front on a white card base because, hello, I like black card bases. I really just like black card bases. They speak to my soul, right? And when you find something creativity-wise that speaks to your soul, then it is my suggestion to embrace it and enjoy it for as long as you enjoy it and for as long as it gives you that happiness inside, right? Not to say that this project doesn't give me happiness inside, but I will say it was a struggle not to put it on black. So I went ahead and stamped my image, which is this tree, and I also stamped out a sentiment. I used Raven detail ink, and I just went ahead and used that on some khaki colored cardstock. Now I am just coloring in with some markers, and my coloring technique, you guys, is not any kind of phantasmagorical thing. It is literally just coloring it in, adding a little bit of a different shade in the lined parts of the stamp, right? Like it's already marked where there should be a little bit of shading. So that's all I'm doing. Now I will tell you guys that when you marker over top of khaki colored cardstock as opposed to a white cardstock, you're going to get a slightly different result in color. So just be aware when you're doing that. Now, also make sure that your Raven detail ink is completely dry before you start bringing in your coloring apparatuses, whether that is a marker, a pencil, paint, watercolor, whatever you're coloring. Go ahead and heat set that that stamped image. That way your ink will be deep into your paper and it will be, I know that the right term is not hard, but whenever I stamp with my detail ink and I use my heat tool over top of it, I'm like, yeah, I'm hardening that up. But I know it's not hardening it up. I know it's just drying it and it's like adhering to the fibers of the paper. But to me, it makes sense that it's hardening in my mind. So it's just the way it goes. Now I am coloring in the rest of the tree, and it is a simple little tree. It's not anything terribly fancy, so it's not going to be a whole heck of a lot of detailed fussy cutting, which is beautiful if you don't have the dies that match the stamp set. So I'm just going to fussy cut that out. And I will say, when you fussy cut, you do want to hold your cutting hand as still as possible. You just want to open and close the scissor blades, and you want to use that opposite hand to really control and move your paper around. Now, obviously, you're going to get a little bit of movement in that scissor hand, especially when it is sped up like this. You'll see a little bit more. But, you know, take the time to cut out properly. Now I'm going to trim down the sentiment as well. And in the video, you can't really tell that it is leaves on leaves as the pattern paper background. But up close and personal, if you're looking at the card, you kind of know what it is. So I go ahead and try to figure out where I want this stuff to end up. It's like, where am I putting this? And I decide that the sentiment isn't really working for me. And sometimes that's just because I don't like the way it looks on there. You know what would have been awesome? If I would have matted that on white cardstock and put it under the tree right there. That would have been awesome, and it would have been beautiful, and I wouldn't have had to worry about it. I'm trying out some other sentiments from the stamp set just to see if any of them really work for me. And why I didn't have the idea to mat that sentiment on white cardstock is beyond me. But I end up just pulling out some letter stickers and placing them on the card to spell out the word hi. So this is just a simple hello card, using really themed products for not a super themey card. And that is something that I would encourage you to try. Use your theme stuff for not really themey projects. And then opposite that, if you have a lot of generic stuff, try to really use that on a themey project. It might be fun. So anyway, that is going to do it for this card, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I will see you guys again real soon for another video.